Hello students, welcome to today's session on objectives of cash flow statement. Students, I have already told you about the cash flow statement, the rationale of cash flow statement, and also that it is one of the essential financial statements which are prepared by company. So now let me tell you more about this cash flow statement, and majorly I'll be talking about the objective first. Okay. So, talking about this objective, the primary objective of cash flow statement is to provide useful information about the cash flows, that is inflow of the cash as well as the outflow of the cash of an enterprise during a particular period under the various heads. These heads can be operating activities, investing activities, and financing activities. Okay. Now, thus, basis this, we can classify all the activities for the purpose of preparation of cash flow statement into three types or three categories. These three categories are the operating activities, where we record the cash flow statement, the cash flows or cash situation of the company on day-to-day business activities. Then the investing activities, where we record the cash inflows and outflows from the fixed assets. And then financing activities, where we are talking about, we find out the inflows of cash by adding on of the liabilities or reduction of the liabilities. Okay. Now let me tell you very briefly about the various activities and how we are going to find out the cash flows, or how we are going to calculate the cash flows. So first of all, let's talk about cash from operating activities. Now, the sources of cash inflow from operating activities would constitute of number one, the cash receipts from sale of goods and rendering of services. Secondly, cash receipts from royalties, fees, commissions, and other revenues. Then the outflow from operating activities would comprise of the cash payments to suppliers of goods and services, as well as to or on behalf of the employees. Also, cash payments to the insurance companies for premiums and claims, annuities, and other policy benefits, and cash payments also to income taxes, unless these taxes are specifically identified with financing or investing activities. Okay. Then let's talk about the next one, that is the investing activities and the financing activities. So now let's talk about the investing activities. So for investing activities, cash outflow happens when the firm or the business is investing in some fixed assets, right? Or company is making any investment. So the cash outflow happens in this case when the cash payment is done to acquire some fixed assets, both including tangible as well as intangible assets. Then the cash payment is made to acquire share, warrants, or debt instruments of the other enterprises other than the instruments those held for trading purposes, and cash advances and loans made to third party. Inflows of cash from investing activity would include the cash receipts from the disposal of any fixed assets, okay, which again including the intangibles. Then cash receipts from repayment of advances or loans made to third party, again except in case of financial enterprises, and cash receipt from disposal of shares, warrants, or debt instruments of other enterprises except those who held for trading purpose. Apart from this, the interest received in cash from loans and advances is also part of cash inflows from investing activities, and at the same time the dividend received from investment in other enterprises is also the part of cash inflow from investing activities. Okay. Now let's move to the financing activities and let us understand the sources of cash inflow and outflow using the financing activity. From financing activity, the cash inflow generally happens by issuing the shares in the market, right? That is when company issues shares in the market in order to gather share capital. So that is a major source of cash inflow from financing activity. Apart from this, company issues debentures also. Then company goes in for taking loans, that is borrowings or bonds, or any other short or long term borrowing. So borrowing is also another option. In nutshell, we can say the sources of cash inflow from financing activity would comprise of two: equity and borrowing. This is what we have talked about. Then now comes the outflow. Outflow happens when cash repayments of amount borrowed. When amount is borrowed, loans are taken, you have to pay the loans also. So when those loans are repaid, it the cash outflows. Then interest paid on debentures and long-term loans and advances, and dividend paid on equity or preference capital. Okay. Now, so these were the main sources of inflows and outflows through these core activities or main activities of business. Then apart from this, there are certain peculiar items to be dealt with when we are making cash flow statement. So now let me apprise you with those peculiar items. Yeah. So now we will be talking about the some peculiar items and how they should be treated. The first one is extraordinary items. Now, extraordinary items, why we call them as extraordinary items? Because these are not regular phenomena. Like, for example, loss due to theft or earthquake or flood. This is not a regular phenomena in the business, so we call them as extraordinary items. Now, these extraordinary items are non-recurring in nature, and therefore cash flow associated with these extraordinary items should be classified and disclosed separately as arising from operating, investing, or financing activity. Subsequently, it will be shown in the corresponding activities sheet only. Now, this is done to enable users to understand the nature and effect on the present and future cash flows of the company. Then second is interest and dividend. We have already talked about interest and dividend. That is, interest and dividend received by the company is the source of cash inflow under investing activity. Interest and dividend paid by the company is a form of cash outflow from financing activity. Now, this is from the perspective of the company. But suppose this company is a financial enterprise whose main business is lending and borrowing, right? In this case, interest paid, interest received, dividend paid, all these are classified as operating activities. Dividend received are classified as operating activities, whereas dividend paid is a financing activity. So in these cases, in such companies' cases, like for example, we have banks or we have NBFCs. So in those companies' cases, interest paid, interest received, and dividend received will be part of operating activities, whereas dividend paid will be part of financing activities. Then we talk of the third one, that is tax on income and gain. Now, uh, from the company perspective we talk about, then company pays tax as income tax also. Then if the company is distributing dividend to its shareholders, it has to pay tax on that dividend, also called dividend tax. right? Then if the company is acquiring asset or cash inflow is there using fixed assets, then that is in case of investment, right? So if there are gains to the company has to pay tax on those gains also, called capital gains tax. Okay, now, so accordingly, if the tax is paid on the general business operations, revenue generated from general business operations of the company, this will be paid under, this will come under the operating cash flows. Dividend tax will come under uh, financing activities, and capital gains tax paid will come under investing activities. Then we have non-cash transactions, right? That is, at times we make transactions in kind also. Okay, so as per accounting standards 3, investing and financing transactions that do not require the use of cash or cash equivalents should be excluded to be recorded in the cash flow statement, right? So asset required by the issue of shares are not disclosed in cash flow statement due to non-cash nature of transaction, right? So this was about these peculiar items, and that is all for today's session, students. I hope you all understood this topic. Keep practicing, and I'll see you the next time. If you have any doubts, please contact me through my Urban Pro profile.